Nerd News Now. Hello, welcome to Nerd News Now. It's just me and Kyle tonight. So, Kyle, thanks for being here. And what have I missed the last couple of weeks? What did you miss, Jen and Brandy talk about?
I don't remember.
That's very fair. The last
Last week we had Dirk Manning on because I was at an airport in Detroit. I was at a hotel at the airport in Detroit, and then the week before I don't remember because I was at a hotel at the airport in Columbus. Yeah,
so you've been flying around? Anything fun or business or what?
all work.
Yeah.
Well, and also hotels by the airport are cheaper than hotels not by the airport.
Yeah.
So like the Columbus, Ohio trip wasn't flying. The Columbus trip wasn't really flying, but it was just that's a really good price on that nice Hilton out by the airport.
Yeah, sometimes I'm wary of airport hotels because I think about the noise, but I mean, you can have a noisy or a quiet hotel room anywhere, right? I mean, I've stayed at a place where I'm like, oh, this is a nice hotel. There's no way it's going to be noisy, and then it's like living in an apartment. You're like at the mercy of your neighbor. So,
Right. Well, I stayed at a hotel that I thought was going to be that a really nice hotel, and the takeaway from it, and I'll never stay there again, is that when I got there, their cable didn't work, their internet was down, and so I just went to bed because it's a hotel. You're not going to be there that long. I just went to bed, and then the next morning I was awoken by the people in the room next to me having what can only be described as the most disappointing hotel room morning fun time I've ever heard. It got to the point where I thought I should bang on the wall and ask him if he needed assistance. Like,
yeah, some of those walls are paper thin. So,
yeah. So I don't stay there anymore. But this was a True by Hilton near the airport 2 weeks ago and 2 Mondays ago. And it was really nice, soundproof. The hotel's only been open since August. Like, I'm relatively sure no one had ever stayed in the room I stayed in, only because I stayed on the top floor at the end of a hall because I knew I would be streaming, doing my show, and I didn't want to annoy my neighbors. And you could actively hear them working on the room next to me because it wasn't finished yet.
uh-huh.
Like, so you could tell that you know what I mean? They were just finishing up that floor. So I'm relatively sure nobody ever stayed in that room, which was nice.
Yeah, construction at a hotel is usually not a good thing when you're staying there unless the property is way spread out. Like if they're doing, work at Disney resorts and there's 18 places to stay, you're probably okay. But you probably don't want to be like at a roadside Holiday Inn Express when they're working on the third floor because there's nowhere else to go. So,
It wasn't so bad. Like I said, they worked during off hours, but this was literally a brand new hotel. So
and now,
then,
so one of
mhm.
those stays that you did fly, right? You were
I was
traveling.
supposed to.
Oh, okay. So that's how that
Um,
went.
well, no. So I get to the airport 6 in the morning, go to get on my plane, and they're going, "Oh, this is a standby ticket. That's why you're able to get it so cheap." Great. Well, can you get me on a flight? Not today. Okay. Well, I need to be in Philadelphia tomorrow. What can you do? We can maybe put you on a Delta flight. Okay, great. It's a $280 ticket difference. Never mind. Just refund me my money. So that's what they did.
Yeah. Um, I would have hoped that customer service got better during this last year, but it's probably going to get worse because they need practice just like everyone else.
Yeah, they were the people at the American Airlines terminal were perfectly nice. It was clearly a misunderstanding, but it's like, really, like you're not going to eat the difference on this thing because you didn't make it clear that this was a standby only ticket.
Well, I also think, especially with airport travel, that they kind of gave us all a big break on, extended refunds and things, but now that's going to be over. But conversely, you could also say, well, you guys got a bunch of government bailouts, so help us out a little bit. But That's the thing with airplane travel is like, some of these airlines they make it sound like a good deal, like no flight change fees, but they're not. Yeah, no fee to change it. But if it happens that that flight you need to get was a $200 more ticket, they're going to charge you that, and then most of them don't give straight up refunds. So
Right.
so it's
Or they're
just
the ones where it's no, your ticket's $75. But oh, you want to carry on a bag? Well, that's another $75. Oh,
yeah.
you'd like to be able to sit in your seat? Well, that's another $25. Um, oh, you want your pretzels and your bottle of water during the flight? Well, that's $170.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, you would like to have the flotation device in case the plane should crash? Well, that's extra. You know.
Yeah, I would drive if it didn't take so much time and I didn't hate driving so much. I used to have a fear of flying. I don't really have that anymore. Now I just have a fear of the, confined space with strangers sneezing and coughing, but that's kind of going away too with the
Yeah,
rollout
I
of the
don't have
vaccine.
it.
But so since you don't remember the last 2 weeks, and I definitely don't remember the last two, all I remember about the last 2 weeks for me was my power went out for 6 hours last Sunday, and they still haven't explained why. And about 5 days before that, I put a hole in my bathtub, and they still haven't explained how that happened. And then there's been homework and sinus infections and stuff. So what I'm gonna do, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna hit on a couple of things that you guys probably covered, but you can just tell me your opinion on them since I
Well,
didn't
haven't watched Falcon and Winter Soldier.
like it all.
I have watched episode 1.
Okay.
Haven't watched the Snyder Cut because screw that.
Okay.
I have watched The Mighty Ducks. And what was the other thing that came out? I've watched Godzilla versus King Kong.
Well, I just finished that just in case. Thinking Miss Jen was probably going to be on. That's like her thing, so we can talk about that. And then Invincible. Did you get to watch that?
Watched episode 1. Haven't watched anymore.
Okay. Well, we can talk
Hey,
about
so here's the problem, right? It's like
yeah.
the problem with traveling is that most of these fancy hotels, right, have smart TVs now,
Yeah.
except they have deals with Netflix, and ain't none of that crap on Netflix.
Yeah.
So now it's like,
That,
okay, I got to try and watch it on my phone, and I'm not going to do that. You
well,
know,
I guess I was thinking like, I know like the Disney parks have Disney Plus obviously, but a lot of these places have unlocked TVs for your Roku or your Amazon Fire Stick now. But I guess not all of them.
no, most of them don't. Most of them anymore, because they're going to the mounted on the wall TVs,
Yeah.
have the smart TV built in, and if you want to pay their small fee or whatever, you can have a completely unlocked and stream anything TV, or you can just use Netflix, which is what's on the TV.
Oh, it's funny that you bring that up because I realized today I don't think I've watched Netflix in 6 weeks.
I watched it yesterday. I started showing my parents The Good Place.
Oh, I love The Good Place. Yeah.
We started The Good Place on Easter, which seemed right.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I keep Netflix around because my parents and grandparents use it a lot. I haven't used it as much, but I have Hulu. I think all the streaming service except for Discovery now.
And Dog TV. We've talked about this. No one I know has Dog TV. So,
Yeah, no,
and it's
never heard
absolutely
of Dog.
ludicrous that I can't believe that whoever did that's a genius if they're making any money off of it.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's like $8.99 a month, and it's to make you not feel like a bad person when you leave your dog in the house by themselves. It's literally when I say dog TV, this is not like Bounty Hunter dog, the Bounty Hunter television. This is like Woof Woof dog TV for dogs. Eight
I don't have
ninety
a
nine.
dog.
Well, right, but even if you did, you wouldn't have dog TV. So I don't know. I can't figure out who that was ever marketed towards. But anyway, I haven't watched Netflix for six
Cleveland
weeks.
Browns fans, maybe.
Maybe. Maybe they could trick them into thinking it's the Dog Pound TV or something, but uh, I don't know. And I don't even think they have Puppy Bowl on it. So really, what's the point? of that. All I was gonna say is this, and it's really just to set up a lame joke, so bear with me. I didn't plan for it to happen, but it took me 7 sittings to finish the 4 hour and 3 minute Snyder cut. So that's my version of Unite the Seven, and that's it. We don't have to talk about it any more than that. But it took me 7 times sitting down, and I just had to go. Okay, I have pause now, and then come back to it a day or two later. So yeah,
Uh,
it took like the full 2 weeks.
you get
Yeah,
3 boos for that joke. 3.
that's fine. I'll take it. It seems like a 3 boo night, so that's fine. But
I wasn't even going to make any jokes about it taking seven sittings to watch a 4 hour movie. That's how terrible it was, or that Zack Snyder should really reimburse you for the time spent on your ass watching that movie. No, no, no. I'm not going to make any of those jokes. I am going to make a joke about really. That's the joke you make.
yeah, hey, I'm doing the best I can on antibiotics. Okay, it's fine. Uh, so which is probably the best way to watch it, but
No, the best way to watch it is on mushrooms.
well, or
It's the only way
not.
it's going to make any sense.
Look, I did some self reflection and I discovered that when people say, "Oh, it's better," better doesn't make something good. But anyway, so Godzilla versus Kong. I'm not a kaiju person. I found out that there's these things like there's people that are kaiju people, and they just love kaiju. And I never knew what kaiju was until I don't know 4 or 5 years ago. I watched Ultraman. He was fighting kaiju all the time. As a kid, I loved that show. But I guess I've just never really been into King Kong or Godzilla outside of the Harryhausen, stuff. Um, Godzilla, I saw it, I guess, on Saturday morning TV sometimes. But are you a King Kong Godzilla kaiju person?
No,
That being said, did you enjoy the movie?
I give it a C minus.
Okay.
I will say this: the writing was awful, the storytelling was awful. Um, the giant things beating the hell out of each other were magnificent.
Yeah.
So that swings it in one direction. That gets you a passing grade on it just because that was great. I thought the CG was good, but like the thing about it, right? And this is my thing. I don't prefer King Kong or Godzilla. I'm more of a fan of things like Mothman and Cthulhu and you know other random mythological creatures. So those two are not necessarily my cup of tea. However, they are the two most historic, and most storied characters. So I respect them. But I thought the writing was terrible. I didn't think they fully thought through their plot. I thought they just were like, all right, we're gonna make a movie. Um, and having thought through their plot, they would have said, "Gee, maybe we ought to not make this movie." So there's that. But like I said, I thought the battle scenes were great. I thought King Kong having Stormbreaker was super fun, but you kind of blow that load when the first thing he does is make a javelin spear out of a tree. You know, 7 seconds into the film.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He gonna make tools, guys. Yeah. So that, I mean, it was great to have a movie that scale come out in light of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I just wish it would have been better.
I don't think people go into those movies for the writing. So, and I know that's I know that we both have particular tastes, and that's not to discount the fact that they shouldn't try, but I knew what I was getting into. Like if I had wanted to spend 2 hours watching, an Academy Award nominated film, I would have watched the Sound of Metal or Judas and the Black Messiah. But instead I watched, that. And I will say that what franchise I sort of base you mentioned giant things beating each other. The franchise I sort of base that off of is Transformers. Like that was so bad because it was just a blend of like toasters and iPods or whatever, and I can never tell who was who. Whenever I can see with clarity what is punching what, I hold it in high regard. So in that regard,
Sure,
I thought this was great.
sure. I mean, like I said, it's when I go into a movie, I want the graphics to be good. I want the plot to be solid. I want the writing to be good. Like here's the thing: if you're gonna spend the kind of money you spend to make that movie, it only costs a little bit more to, I don't know, hire a decent writer. Like
Yeah.
you spent $2 bajillion on CGI. You could pay someone $1 million to write you a good script,
Oh yeah.
and they never do. And I get that people don't go to those movies for that reason, but like, isn't it still worth the investment? Like you're gonna make your money back anyway from the people who are going there going, big things hit each other. You're gonna make your money back from those guys. So pay a writer for the 7,500 of us, maybe 10,000 people who are like, I want a good plot-driven Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
You know, if it means bringing in Godzuki, that's fine. We hope it doesn't, but so be it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's to me. Whenever I go to any movie, I want the writing to be, because a good writing can cover a lot of bad filmmaking. I'll give you a great example. One of the movies I have the most problem with in the superhero pantheon is Venom. Because at the end, it looks like they ran out of CGI budget to make the two symbiotes look different. And now we're just watching an amorphous blob roll around the screen. Right? At the very end of the movie. The big fight scene just looked like someone spilled some oil. Like, and I can deal with that if the whole movie has been really well written and told a really great story, maybe about how symbiotes are similar, and every other symbiote in the movie hadn't looked so dramatically different from Venom, right? So, but no, you're gonna put the black and the gray symbiote together and have them fight and have lens flare and stuff all over the place. So if you build it up to the point where you can make it so it makes sense that they look the same, then I can get by. But no, instead they wrote sort of a vague movie that sort of vaguely alludes to all of the Venom stuff that we know, sort of vague alliterations to something happening in New York. Like not really telling much of a story beyond the real basic story. Now I got a problem. The other side to that is Thor Ragnarok. My problems with Thor Ragnarok have less to do with the writing and more to do with my own neurosis. But that movie was really well written, and so I let a lot of stuff slide in the filmmaking of that movie. Even if I don't necessarily like the writing, it was still really well written. So, you can get by making a worse movie if you write it really well.
How much do you think it would have cost for them to pay Aaron Sorkin to punch up the Godzilla Kong script?
$1 million.
You would love that, wouldn't you? I would love that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but then Godzilla would have to do 3-page monologues.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Maybe four.
Yeah.
Maybe four, depending on the movie. I don't know. Uh, I understand what you're saying, and I don't think kaiju fans want to hear it or care. Because I know on this show, I don't remember who was on there with me that week, but I go, the problem I have with this is that they say one's going to fall and one's not going to fall, and it's probably going to be something really stupid, like the humans make Mechagodzilla, and then they're going to have to team up at the end. And I got laughed off this tiny little screen I'm on, going, no, that'll never happen. No spoilers, but anyway. So, some people like transparency, I guess. But I would prefer to see a kaiju movie written by Aaron Sorkin.
Like I said, I mean, I'm not. You don't have to write me Gone with the Wind. I'm not saying you got to do that. I'm not saying I want Rosebud at the end, like it's Citizen Kane or something. But tell a compelling story, and they just never do. And it's to the point now where it's like, all right, I'm gonna go see this stupid Godzilla movie. If it wouldn't have been on HBO Max, I wouldn't have watched it.
Same, but sort of shifting gears or wrapping that whole saga up, because we don't really need to talk about the movie anymore. Um, it made 48 million in the box office over 5 days. During we're still in the pandemic. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It's still kind of different everywhere as far as how many people gotten vaccinated, what's open, how much percent, and all that. But I'm glad that there's finally this sort of like upswing that gives a little bit of hope to the movie going industry. So that's one positive that came out of it, I think.
We rented theaters. Like I didn't get to go. I had to work, but a friend of mine and I rented a theater to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
We could take 100 of our closest friends. That's how this movie made money, I think, was big viewing parties. And that's fine. I will take it. I will take me and 100 of my friends going to see the movie forever. Because then after the movie, I can stand up and I can yell about what made me angry. And my friend, and they're not going to look at me like I'm a crazy person at the movies like normally happens. Because these are all people who know me. I like it. Like, one of my favorite movie going experiences when we went to see Team America World Police.
Oh yeah.
And it was just me and one friend in the whole theater. We didn't rent the theater. We were just the only people who showed up. And so we were yelling at it was the greatest experience because we're yelling at the screen. We're yelling at each other, you know. That was super fun. So I get behind that. Or when we went to see Onward right at the beginning of the pandemic, me and my friend went to see that. And there was us and two other people in the theater, and they sat way on the other side. So we could basically have a real conversation about what's happening in the movie. And we're not disturbing anybody. That's cool. I could get behind that kind of return to movie going. We'll see.
I think that no, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, but I think there was a couple of chains that experimented with that, almost like in pods or almost like a couch type settings, more for dates and stuff. But I wonder if that idea might resurface a little bit because even once we finally get past the COVID-19, um, you know, I don't know. I feel like I would prefer just to have space from now on.
Well,
Anyway,
Phoenix Theaters,
okay,
not the city of Phoenix, Phoenix the brand,
yeah,
which is a real small theater company, have been doing that. They're the ones with the recliner seats and the tables, where it is a little more pod centric, which is cool. And a lot of people I know like going to see those kinds of going there to see those movies. I personally prefer to stay with the big chains only because I like being able to get a Marco's or a Pizza Hut pizza and walk into my movie theater. Um, you know, I like having brand name snack foods. But down there, you guys have Alamo Draft House.
yeah.
That's a way to see a movie. Like I loved that experience when I was in Texas, going to see um, Al, movies at Alamo Draft House. So
Yeah, especially the ones that were themed. I know some people who just can't do it because they can't take the sights and smells and sounds of other people eating in a theater, but it's like that's kind of you can't really get away from that. I mean, I would rather smell someone's buffalo chicken wings than someone's like dill pickle in a bag for sure.
hmm
We're talking about like smelling gourmet food versus stale theater popcorn and bagged dill pickles. But yeah, I can go. The thing is, I guess I can go either way on that. I want to support the industry, but when you're in your apartment or your house, for the most part, you are in control of your viewing experience. And
yeah,
while you may not have the system that the movie theater does, you know that there's not going to be any potential of people yelling or fighting or playing on their phones or any incidents happening or anything like that. But again, I would not have seen Godzilla versus Kong if it had not been on HBO Max. So I'm glad that they're doing this with a few more movies that I probably would also not see in theaters, at least right now. So I
well,
enjoy
that's
it.
that's the thing though about, and I'll say this is the thing about watching movies at home. If I don't like, there he's back. But if I don't like it, I can turn it off, right? And I'm so tempted just to hit that. All right, I don't like this. Exit back to regular TV, or here, let me go over to this episode of The West Wing or Friends or something I've seen 900 times because I know it doesn't suck nearly as bad as this movie. The benefit to going to the movies is that I'm at the movies and I'm either walking out of the movie theater, and being like, all right, I'm out. I'm not doing this. Or I'm sticking through a movie that I might not otherwise watch all the way because I've paid the money.
Yeah.
So that lets me, in some time, and there have been instances where staying around to the end of the movie has given me a movie I liked as opposed to a movie I didn't. Cinderella Man's a great example of that. I didn't like that movie for the longest time. Then you get to the end, and I really liked it. The Russell Crowe movie.
Yeah, I can't really think of an instance where like an act three has saved a movie for me, so I don't know.
Well, it's not even that. It's the
Yeah.
the end is they in the end they chose to give a really good representation of what actually happened with his life.
Yeah.
Like so the first two acts of the movie was just pretty predictable, and then the third act is where his life in real life the third act of his life was unpredictable.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. Like okay, but that's a good example. Like also the last act had less Renee Zellweger, so that always helps.
Um, well, so just to wrap all that up, yeah, wouldn't have watched it if it wasn't on HBO Max. Glad it was, but also glad it made box office money. 48 million in 5 days. A very distant number two was the new horror film starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which I didn't even hear about, Unholy. That only got 3.2, and then Bob Odenkirk's movie Nobody had a stellar opening last week. For a smaller movie, it made 8 million and was number one. This week it was number three with 3 million. And so maybe with this, Godzilla Kong being in theaters and doing well, hopefully that shows theater goers on the upswing. Of these next five movies, which one do you think could beat 48 million in 5 days? We have and I'll give you the dates too because obviously the further out we get, probably the more people start to get comfortable going to the movies. So we got these are just five that I picked out that are bigger productions. But Mortal Kombat April 23rd, Quiet Place 2 May 28th. Cruella, May 28th. And then on July 2nd, Peter Rabbit 2, obviously a family driven film, and Top Gun Maverick. Think any of those can set the new pandemic record over Godzilla versus Kong?
No. I mean, I think Top Gun Maverick probably is your best bet. Mortal Kombat's probably your second best bet. A Quiet Place 2 would come in third. Cruella is the bottom, and whatever I didn't name would be in front of that.
Peter Rabbit too.
Peter Rabbit. And the thing is, and this is what I don't know: are they going to count the Disney Plus numbers on Cruella?
I don't think so because they didn't count HBO Max watches for Godzilla vs Kong. So
Disney Plus is they're putting it behind that additional paywall, so you've actually got to buy it separate from your Disney Plus subscription. So I mean, maybe they'll count them as a non-traditional revenue.
They didn't. I can tell you that they did not count it for Raya and the Last Dragon.
Okay. If they didn't count it for Raya, they won't count it for this. So I would say, yeah, Cruella comes in last.
Okay.
Peter Rabbit being a sequel will get the people who went to see the first one, like they have that, and like my cousins, like they went and saw Peter Rabbit.
Yeah.
You know, so they'll go see it again. They'll go see the second one. There is no movie on that list that would get me even close to bothering to watch any of them. Yeah. Mortal Kombat, I don't need to see Sub-Zero. Just don't. Oh, it's going to be on HBO Max? Don't care. You know what else is on HBO Max? The Misery Index. You know, the show with the Impractical Jokers guy and the girl from The Good Place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll watch that as opposed to that movie. There is nothing there that has me even remotely interested in seeing a film.
Point taken. I was just throwing that out there as something to talk about as far as people slowly going back to movies.
Have they announced the soundtrack for Top Gun 2? Because the soundtrack could change my views on Top Gun 2. Because if it's anything like the original Top Gun soundtrack, it's going to be fire.
Oh, I hope it is, but no, I don't think they made any official announcements. The thing I felt, no, I shouldn't feel bad about this because it's been a weird year, right? But I was like thinking, like, wait a minute, didn't Top Gun 2 already come out at some point? Because it's like I feel like I've been waiting for that movie for 3 years. And maybe I have because it was supposed to be out last May, and I knew about 2 years before that. So I don't know, like, but the interest of that has waned. I will tell you, I'm not doing this to be contrarian, but I'm going to put Peter Rabbit up pretty high on that list because you're looking at July 4th weekend with a name brand family movie when the previous family movie came out May 28th with Cruella. So I'm thinking July 4th weekend is going to be a pretty big weekend for movie theaters. But, you know, I don't think people are taking their kids to see Top Gun Maverick, but who knows?
So, returning from the original soundtrack,
yeah,
they have the Top Gun anthem, Danger Zone, Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick. That can't be right. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, they've not announced a soundtrack to a movie whose soundtrack was like the best thing. Yeah, they've nothing. But you can bet that Danger Zone will be in this movie. But yeah, they've not announced anything.
And if you don't have a volleyball scene with playing with the boys, you might as well just not have a volleyball scene.
I don't want to see 80-year-old Tom Cruise play volleyball with his shirt off. And I definitely don't want to see whatever replacement they get for Anthony Edwards.
You mean his son?
Is that who's playing him?
Well, I mean, Miles Teller is his son in the movie, yeah.
Right, but I'm saying they're going to have to replace, because it isn't going to be Tim Robbins as Merlin, who is Maverick's co-pilot, and it definitely can't be Anthony Edwards. So who are you going to get to be Maverick's co-pilot?
I would assume Miles Teller's character will have taken on that role by the end. But remember, this
Right,
is
but I'm
supposed
saying,
to be Maverick
but
as
you
like,
got to remember, but that scene was early in the movie. Like that wasn't at the end of the movie. That scene was middle of the movie, so it's got to be before then. So who is? You see what I'm getting at here? They're gonna
yeah.
have to put another old man with him, and then you want him to play volleyball. I would like to see it. Like, I think the scene should be two old men playing volleyball against Miles Teller and another young person, which would make sense. Like that would be the scene you would write. But nothing about this movie interests me. I was interested when they announced it, but yeah, it's been a decade since they announced it, so
Have you seen
I've
the
lost interest.
Transformers Top Gun crossover figure?
You mean the super ostrich from Macross?
No, I mean they made a Autobot named Maverick that's a fighter jet, and he comes with a volleyball accessory.
And the sculpt is just the super ostrich from Macross.
No, what is Super Ostrich?
It was originally Starscream from Transformers. It's the exact same plane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. So
You're talking about
Macross
that
was
pilot.
was an anime, and then when they made Transformers, they literally just stole basically the exact same mold
Okay.
to make Starscream, and now it's like the exact same mold again to make the Transformers Top Gun crossover.
I thought you were talking about that character Skylinks because he looks like a space ostrich.
No, it's called the Super Ostrich from Macross.
Okay. Well, anyway, kudos to. I don't know if that figure ever needed to be made, but kudos for having a volleyball accessory because that's hilarious.
Yeah, I want it to be able, like, what would be really cool is if it could shoot the volleyball, right? Like, you load it in where the guns is, you're flying
Yeah,
around. And
spring. Yeah, spring loaded. So you won't be so. Let alone going to the theater to see those. You probably will not be watching any of those five I named, but that doesn't mean there's not any movies you won't see coming out. I just wanted to reiterate that I chose those because these are the most probably popular films that are coming out between now and July 2nd. So we'll see. I'll keep tabs of it like I do, but um, Top Gun and Peter Rabbit will probably have crowds because it's July 4th weekend. So
let me, I'm pulling up the calendar here. Wrath of Man looks interesting in May. Um, the new Conjuring in June for me. In the Heights is what I'm excited for. The Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. I want to say Black Widow, but I no longer care about Black Widow. I want to see Space Jam, but I no longer care about Space Jam. I want to say Jungle Cruise, but all I hear is the Weird Al song. Skipper Dan.
yeah,
The next movie I'm excited for really doesn't come to August with Free Guy.
man, it's been a long time since it was supposed to come out. That was supposed to come
Yeah,
out.
I understand, but I've been excited for that for a while because that's at least unique and different.
Yeah.
And then you get to September and it's Shang-Chi, Venom, Many Saints of Newark, which is going to be on HBO Max, which I'm excited about. Adam's Family in October. And then a movie I've been waiting a long time for, Last Night in Soho, which is what's the word I'm looking for? Edgar Wright horror flick.
Oh wow.
That comes out in October.
I said I'm definitely down for that. I don't normally
And
do horror, but if it's like by a director or writer I love, I'll check it out.
Right. It's Edgar Wright, so it can't be too scary that there's going to be enough jokes in it. Like, um, but then you get November is the month really that I will see a bunch of movies. Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Belfast, King Richard is coming to HBO Max, and then Mission Impossible 7, which I'll only see because if you've seen all the Mission Impossibles thus far, can you really stop now? Like it's
No.
like a requirement by law to see it.
So I definitely can't see someone wanting to see the seventh one without having seen the other six. So I guess it's sort of
Right. And if you've seen the other six, like you're required by some sort of law to
yeah.
watch the seventh one. But then like I'm looking at the calendar for December, and December looks solid too. West Side Story, Spider-Man No Way Home, The Matrix 4, Sing 2, and Hotel Transylvania 4.
Man, I cannot believe there's been 3 Hotel Transylvanias already. But it does well. I mean, they do well. That's why there's a fourth one coming out.
Right. I mean, and then if you just decide you really want to roll over into next year, because I thought this was happening, you get Morbius in January along with the Sesame Street film.
Double feature right there. My
Yeah.
two favorite Draculas.
Right?
Two favorite
Two favorite vampires right there. And then you get the Uncharted movie in February and the Batman in March. Like, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness in March. So
Oh, I
really
can't.
starting November, you get stacked up movies.
Yeah.
November, December, January, and March.
And those are all movies that have been long jammed because of COVID. So it's like we won't really be watching movies that we've only waited a year for probably another 2 years.
And then listen to this schedule for May of next year. You ready?
Go for it.
Thor: Love and Thunder, Friday, May 6th. Friday, May 27th, John Wick 4 and Dungeons and Dragons. And then the topper on top is the middle week, Friday, May 20th, Legally Blonde 3.
Can you guess which movie I'm least excited about from those 4?
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, but here's the reason why. I want to end to that. Like I remember the cartoon from the 80s, right, with the action figures. And then I think everyone had Dungeons and Dragons sort of like, they hit them over the head with Stranger Things. But like I want to end to that cuz like that World of Warcraft movie was supposed to do that for people and it didn't. And apparently people that loved World of Warcraft really didn't like that movie. So I'm just wondering what angle they're going to take for Dungeons and Dragons to make that work. Like, is it a comedy? Is it straight up serious? Like, what is it?
Right. And they already made the best Dungeons and Dragons movies, which was Onward.
Oh, yeah. Well, that movie is just great. But
right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's a pretty good month too in May.
Oh yeah. No, the reason I named the 5 movies I did, and I didn't like try to think, oh, which of these 5 movies will Kyle hate the most? Like it wasn't that. It was me just looking at a list between now and July before Black Widow and seeing what do I think the populace will that are going to the theater.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, between
yeah.
I will probably watch Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is an HBO Max movie. Wrath of Man looks interesting, but it's a Guy Ritchie heist movie, so it's kind of a formula you've seen. So I'll watch that, but it's Jason Statham, so you can't really go wrong there. And then in June, it's In the Heights. Samaritan looks solid. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is a movie I will not be seeing, even though it has all the people I like in it. just because that seems like a stretch. But then, yeah, the other Edgar Wright, the Sparks Brothers movie, which is a super artsy, kind of Tim Burton-esque, feeling movie from Edgar Wright. So, I mean, that'll be one. And then we're to July, which is Top Gun Peter Rabbit. And there is just no movie in July. Stillwater, maybe. If it's the Stillwater, I'm thinking of Stillwater, maybe. At the end of July.
Well, we'll see what happens, but yeah, the five I named were just because I think the masses, if they're comfortable going
Sure.
to the movies, then we'll go. But so I know what news to spare you from next. The new Black Widow trailer and the new Space Jam trailer. We don't need to talk about that because you're not going to see it. So
haven't seen those trailers. I did watch the new. What other trailer just dropped? Hold on.
Movie or TV show?
TV show.
Loki.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and
I watched that one.
I'm excited for that show. I'm only an episode into Falcon and Winter Soldier also. And it's fine. It's kind of like what we thought it was going to be, talking about it like a month ago while WandaVision was wrapping up. But Loki intrigues me because you have all these crazy elements at play, like time cops and whatnot. And I don't know what stories those are from in the comics, if any. I just feel like they're really gonna utilize Tom Hiddleston as the centerpiece, as you would assume with a show called Loki, uh, and just surround him with an interesting cast. So yeah, I'm excited for that one after seeing that trailer today.
Yeah, that one's got me interested. Although I'm scrolling through the headlines just right now, and I want to touch on a headline real quick, and we can go back to Loki. But I think it plays into Loki. Catherine Hahn's most devious role was Step Brothers, not WandaVision.
Yeah.
And I'm going, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, the thing that excites me about Loki, and I hate to say that anything in the Thor universe excites me, but the thing that excites me most about Loki is it's another opportunity for Disney to do what they didn't do with WandaVision. And just tell some off the wall crazy crap. Because with Loki, anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Like they're leading to the Vote Loki story. Like the look and the theme is the story, the Loki book that came out a few years back, Vote Loki, where he was like a politician and it was weird. But the thing about Loki is that you can literally just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And you don't have to shoehorn it into anything because it's Loki. Like, oh, that thing we thought we were shoehorning into, nah, that was just a trick from Loki. Like you can have those stories where it's Loki, Loki versus the square jawed suit. Oh, no, Loki just had you think that. That kind of stuff. So it gives them an opportunity to really play with some off the wall insanity.
Yeah, I mean it looks crazy and fun, so I'm happy about that.
You know what we need to talk about, Mark?
Comics?
No.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. The dealers, we got like 10 minutes, so whatever you want to talk about, let's go for it.
Well, I mean, it's like, what are you most looking forward to from the greatest wrestling weekend of the year?
So, as I've told you before, I recently kind of got back into this. At the beginning of the pandemic, I even so much that I signed up for the WWE Network. Rest in peace. If you don't know, that went off the air, I guess last night.
Yeah,
And
and it's on Peacock now, but it isn't very good. I will say this: they need to reconfigure how it is on Peacock. But I've been told, because I talked to someone at Peacock, that they're working on it. Right now, you can't search. The thing I loved about WWE Network is you could search chronologically.
yeah,
That is not a thing right now in Peacock, but they're working on it.
um, that and people had all these kind of memes about me going to the Attitude Era section on the Peacock WW Network app, and it's like the final scene from Fresh Prince where Will Smith's in the house and he's all sad because it's all empty. But they also said that don't worry, that's going to be coming back soon. Like people are scared that they're going to pull off every non-PC moment or every non-family moment off of that, and I just don't think you possibly could anyway if you tried. So I think
No,
most
I think right now what they're because the problem I think the problem Peacock has is there's no like, hey, are you at least 18?
yeah,
Part, like, so unfortunately, you don't want to have to explain to a kid, a bra and panties match necessarily. Or you don't have to explain to a small child the Chris Benoit segment. Like there are things that maybe should stay gone until WWE, until Peacock is ready for that. And I'm fine with that. And there are things like the Raw after Benoit happened that I think maybe should just stay gone.
yeah,
Because they've become this thing that people go to for some sort of Schadenfreude. And it's not good. Um, the Owen Hart event. Go ahead and leave it on. I can never forget that. I don't need to watch it again.
yeah.
Just my.
So
But
and here
let's
I was
let's
gonna.
break down the matches.
Okay, yeah, go. Well, I can tell you the match I'm most excited for is Bianca Belair and the Boss. So, I mean,
Yes.
that's and I will tell you also that I knew what the storyline was going to be the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, you can see it. That they were going to have to put some friction between them so they could face each other at WrestleMania and then have weird and awkward tag team matches. And you have like the Reggie guy involved or whatever. And it's been a little rough to watch and a little bit sloppy because I think that they deserve better storylines. But I will say that I can't wait to see that match. Now, is that going to be a headliner on night one?
I don't know. They don't have them broken down. I don't think this is the order in which they're airing.
Okay.
But so WWE Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. I like to see Drew McIntyre get a rub, but Bobby Lashley keeps the strap.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. I think Sasha keeps the strap, but that'll be a great match. They can
I
both
think
really work.
something will have to happen in that though too. I don't know what,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably winds up being a non-finish. There's interference. It's a no decision thing. Bad Bunny versus The Miz. I only just figured out who Bad Bunny was.
Oh, all day. Bad Bunny takes it all day. I'm telling you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Why Cesaro is not carrying a strap ever is beyond me. But I couldn't care less about this match.
I do not like Seth Rollins at all. I do not like that
Sure.
weird whatever they did to him about what the was it like the whole Messiah complex or whatever like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I don't. So I he could get spun around 1,000 times and I wouldn't care, but I would hope Cesaro would win.
By the way, if you guys are interested in wrestlers' lives outside of wrestling, Cesaro for years had an amazing coffee blog where he
Really?
wrote about coffee. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. He would go to coffee shops like in towns they were in and write about the coffee he got there. The Raw Tag Championship, the New Day, who have the straps, versus AJ Styles and the Omos.
Now this has been a lot of build up. Have you ever seen the Almost guy wrestle at all? Like, has he ever wrestled? I don't understand this whole storyline for the last month.
This will mark the in-ring debut of the Omos on the main roster.
He's a giant. I don't know anything else about him.
I like the New Day. I've met Big E a couple of times. I've met Kofi a couple of times. I've met all those guys a couple of times. So I like them. And then my friend versus Shane McMahon in the steel cage match. I knew Braun Strowman before he was Braun Strowman when he was still just a powerlifter. So I'm pulling for him. But yeah, that's a match I have very limited interest in. Then the Meme Championship of the World is the first thing listed for night 2, the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan, the man who wedges himself into every match. Have you seen the meme? It's Godzilla versus King Kong versus Daniel Bryan.
No, but that's hilarious.
Yeah. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. I think that stays with Asuka.
Yeah.
The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus the Botchapotamus, Randy Orton.
Who cares?
Yep. Intercontinental Championship, Big E versus Apollo Crews. I like Apollo Crews, but Big E is the best.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, because they're going to milk this one until one of these guys retires. The U.S. Championship, Riddle versus Sheamus.
Riddle.
No.
I think Riddle, but yeah.
And then the SmackDown Tag Championships, Dolph Ziggler and Robbie Roode versus the Street Profits. Dolph Ziggler's brother's in AEW.
I did not know.
I think Dolph should leave and go tag with his brother in AEW.
So maybe this is his out. I mean, is this it? It wouldn't be.
He's got a longer contract with WWE.
Oh, okay. Well,
but his brother's in a really terrible angle on AEW and could use some help. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Now, with WrestleMania, I'm trying to think of the right way to word this, but with WrestleMania, do all these storylines end here, like one way or another? Or
a lot of them do, but a lot of them don't. Like, there will be, it's one of those things that somebody will win a strap that maybe doesn't already have one. So now there's a feud going forward about, I want my title back. But then a lot of this will get put to rest, and then they'll come out to Monday Night on Raw and just introduce a whole bunch of new terrible feuds.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, according to Jerry Lawler, I talked to Jerry Lawler for an hour and 15 minutes on Thursday. It was the greatest night of my life. But Jerry says they're not allowed to call them feuds anymore. They have to call them rivalries.
What, really? Why?
Because somebody says feuds is too hot button of a word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, but I got to interview Jerry Lawler Thursday night, and it was absolutely amazing. He showed me his Batmobile.
That's awesome.
Yeah. His garage, you'll appreciate this, Mark. His garage, you go in, first thing you see, 10-foot Hulk statue. Wow. Like, not Hulk Hogan, the Hulk, the incredible one. And then next to that, Superman statue. And then it comes around, he's got this wall. Superman, Cleveland Sports, Coca-Cola, and then at the top are all the different crowns. And then, like, he comes around a corner, and there's just, like, a white table, like, like a white convention-style table. And he's just got belts laying on it, championship belts from the 80s and 90s, and the belt his son won in WWF. Like, just on a table. I'm going, oh, my God. Like, just like it's anything.
How many times, I got to ask this question, how many times did Andy Kaufman come up?
Once. I only asked him once.
Okay. still, I'm glad you did. I love that.
So
Uh
I started off talking to him about baseball and
huh.
softball and barbecue, and then we talked about Andy Kaufman in the movie. Then we talked about his wrestling career, and then we talked about superheroes because he's a big Batman, Superman, Hulk, Spider-Man guy. Then we talked about Cleveland sports because he grew up around Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, but then Tuesday night of last week, I got to talk to Tony Schiavone,
Wow. Okay.
which was also awesome because Tony and I could talk about talking for days on end. Like, it was wild. It's like me and Tony talking about broadcasting. It's like, oh, all right, we're gonna have this conversation now. Where I asked Tony Schiavone, like, how to be a good broadcaster.
Yeah.
So, like, and then it's you watch Wednesday nights Dynamite, and it was a great Dynamite, great event, for AEW. And you hope WrestleMania pays off. You hope it's a good event, but there's just a lot of matches in there that I think are filler.
Yeah. Have they announced the type of match for all of those matchups yet? Because sometimes they wait till like the day before.
The article I was looking at did not say.
Okay. Because I know the whole thing with the Braun Strowman one is it's like Hell in a Cell because
Yeah, it's a steel
Shane
cage.
Steel Cage, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
because he's running away from him or whatever. So I was just wondering if the championship matches have been set. What do you think happens in the three-way for the championship?
Everyone loses.
Does that mean Reigns retains or
No, I mean literally the whole world loses because it exists.
Oh, okay. So you
Uh,
have zero interest in that one.
because Christian is at AEW and is about to challenge for the belt. Christian had a great match last week with Frankie Kazarian. He's working his way up to challenging for the AEW title. I would like to see Edge have a belt at WWE, and those two be the ones to be like, look, this we can't play in the same sandbox thing is bullshit. Because every other promotion is cool with playing with WWE, or not WWE, with AEW. You have guys coming in from Japan. You have guys going to Japan. You have guys coming in from Lucha, from AAA. You got guys going to AAA. You got guys coming in from TNA or Impact. Sorry, and everybody's kind of working together, except for WWE. And Vince for so long has had a stranglehold on WWE. You guys can't work the indies. You can't do this other thing unless you've got a special contract. Well, if any two people could get him to do it, it's Christian and Edge. And and he could do it under the stipulation of, okay, it's only Edge and Christian. You don't have to do it under the stipulation of everybody can do it now. You do it just those two guys. So I think there's a shot.
I mean, it was just earlier this year that they were hugging each other during the Royal Rumble, right? So, I mean, if it's anything to be said
Right.
for Unity,
Had
why
like
not?
a one event contract.
Yeah.
And then he signed up with AEW. And the thing is you've got a lot of guys going over to AEW that left WWE on good terms, like Big Show. So I could see it working under the right set of circumstances. Do I think it's likely? No. But you can always pray.
Yeah. It'd be like a Marvel DC crossover at this point, but it happened
Yeah,
before.
it could have been happening and not high, but we can always pray. So
So I know you seem to have interest in maybe half the matches, but what as a whole would you, as a fan, would you like? What do you hope to get out of WrestleMania this weekend?
I always my WrestleMania hope is always that it winds up being a better event than it looks like on paper.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like WrestleMania 3, you see Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. On paper, that doesn't look like a great match. it looks like, oh, Andre's going to squash him. And then that's not how it goes because, Andre recognized something in Hulk Hogan and WWE recognized something in Hulk. You know what I mean? They recognized something and they used that opportunity to change trajectory of the whole company. So that's what I always hope happens is that, some of these guys that are a little younger, that maybe, somebody like a Braun Strowman who has been misused, I think. Somebody like a Bray Wyatt who has been over for so long, but maybe isn't getting the same push he should have gotten had he not gotten hurt a few years ago. Somebody like a Xavier Woods or a Big E. Guys who have just been putting in the work. Get a shot at something. They get put over. Like a couple of years back when what's his name? He's at Impact now. Zack Ryder won Money in the Bank. That's an opportunity for a dude who has just put in the work for a long time to get something, to get a little taste. And then they did nothing with it. But my goal, my hope would be that something truly unexpected happens and we get a chance to see the company change for the better. But other than that, I just want good storytelling. I just want good in-ring matches. I want good, performances. I don't want people going out there and just, oh, he hit me with a chair.
Yeah. Now, do you expect any like legends to come back? I mean, there's always like appearances and guest stars and stuff.
Yeah,
So.
I don't see anything on the horizon like that. But those are always the fun moments. A legend comes out and gives somebody, Shawn Michaels comes out and super kicks somebody, out of nowhere. I would love to see, and the problem is a lot of these guys aren't around anymore to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody like one of the Twin Towers, coming out and helping Braun Strowman. The Undertaker helping Braun Strowman. Somebody like that, just, all right, I'm gonna put this guy over from a guest spot.
Yeah. That would be cool.
I don't see it happening. I just don't think it's in the cards. And WWE's got so much tunnel vision as it relates to the Thunderdome thing they're doing. With their, we can control everything, including the crowd noise. So we can make everything just exactly how we want it. And if we do that, everyone will like us.
But now this one's going to actually have a crowd, right? Tiny crowd.
Not enough that you'd be able to hear it on camera.
Okay.
So it's still going to be piped in crowd noise that Vince can control.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing about WrestleMania. You get those bumps from the crowd and, it ignites. And it's crazy to watch those old ones, especially like you mentioned WrestleMania 3. I think I've read articles where that's one of the top 3 spots in wrestling history, the body slam.
What I would honestly love more than I think I even acknowledged until just now, I would love WrestleMania to go to Philadelphia, a city where they're not impressed by anything they do in professional wrestling.
Just put it all on the line.
This isn't hardcore enough city.
Yeah.
Like someplace like that where you're really going to be able to, from the crowd noise in the arena, gauge whether or not your event is working at all. They never will, because why would they? But that's what I would like.
Well, I'll still watch, and if I get bored, I'll just flip on Punky Brewster, right? Because I'll already be on Peacock, so there we go. Any final notes?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
All right. Well, we obviously didn't cover comics, but we covered wrestling, so I'll call that a win.
Yeah, I cover comics 6 days a week.
I know. Yeah. No. And I've there's been so much stuff I have on the back burner. I can't add any more to the pile anyway. So, but
Right.
yeah,
And
we'll hit
I
that
really
back
want to
when
talk
we got.
about comics that are coming out tomorrow. Geiger from Image Comics is I think the one to pick up.
Okay.
Also Silver Coin from Image Comics. Um, ENIAC #2 from Bad Idea. Tankers #1 from Bad Idea. Nottingham #2. And Locust #1 from Scout Comics.
Cool. All right. We'll take note of that. And all right. So I guess we're gonna do a WrestleMania recap on Monday, regardless of who's here with us.
Well, Jen will just sit there and twiddle her thumbs, and Brainy will just sit there and twiddle his thumbs, and you and I will be like, "Did you see that? That was kind of awful."
well, yeah. Depending on how it goes, that segment may not be very long anyway. So, all right. Well, Kyle, thanks for helping carry the show tonight. And thank you for watching Nerd News Now, part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by the Adventure Begins Comics and Games and Space Cadets Collection. Check out their other shows on Woodlands Online, like Music Cafe, Adventure Begins Show, Woodlands House and Home, Best You, Between the Trees, Business Talk, and more. You can watch all these on Woodlands Online and on our partner station, KBQT HD21, over the air on your television. All these shows and more on Roku. Just search Woodlands Online TV and add it to your streaming lineup. And you can listen to the podcast version of our show on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you hear your podcast. See you next time on Nerd News.